Hi, this is In the Middle.
with Kes and Jamie.
Well, hi everyone. Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Kes.
How are you?
Bye.
I hope everyone's doing well. Look, the snow has gone and we're back outside and it's nice. Look, and
still have
it's
a coat.
nice and we don't have a mask on, which means potentially,
We're not paying attention to the rules. No, I'm
or, or, or we really just want to discuss COVID. What is COVID these days? What is it? What is it across? What does it mean across the world? What do other countries, our countries, any country are doing? What are people thinking? Has it become politicized to a point where it's just insane?
You think?
I think. Do I? Yes. Occasionally I do think, and I did think about this one, and I think that in fact that is true. That is true. Jamie, have you had COVID?
No.
Neither have I.
No. Not that I know of.
Right. Well, I have to say I've taken so many tests that I think at some point I probably would have known, or
Yeah.
hopefully would have known.
Yeah.
I've had PCRs done to get on a plane, to get off the plane, to get into a country, to move around a country, to really just pretty much do anything. Come to work, leave work, be at home, go to friend's
Oh, I
house.
got COVID. I'm going to go home.
Right? So, in reality, I think in the space of 2 years, I was very grateful that I haven't had COVID, and I feel really happy about it and blessed. But the rules in the past 2 years have been changing a lot, and we have had very tough lockdowns.
Sometimes daily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we here in US have had lockdowns, harsher lockdowns, then they're softened up. Some countries have had terrible lockdowns, very strict lockdowns, especially the islands.
Right.
Like New Zealand has had very tough lockdowns, and they have had really good outcome in sense of very little amount of deaths to none, and generally just sort of looks like they were able to take care of the situation better. Yes, they're obviously, they're an island, they're smaller, they're less people, and so on and so forth.
Right.
But yet they've been able to bring it to that.
And that's what they work that to their advantage. We're
Yeah.
isolated already, so why don't we just kind of
Go and
increase
isolate
this?
ourselves even
Yeah.
more. Right. But then you have, big countries like US, Germany, Russia, South Africa, Canada, all of those, they all have dealt with it somewhat different. And I just want to get your view on how do you think the countries generally dealt with it in the past 2 years?
This country.
This country in comparison to others as well.
I think that we talked about this. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this right now, but we talked about the fact that there's been a different kind of reaction from every kind of country.
Yeah.
And in those different kind of reactions, some of them are much more strict, some of them are less strict, some of them are kind of in between. And I mentioned to you, I think that one of the main reasons why that's true is because people, the leadership could only go and be as strict as the people would allow them to. Now, that they would have to really push the envelope anyway, but the United States would have never put up with the same things that they have in Europe or in Australia. They had some
Yeah.
really strict.
Yeah.
People in Melbourne, Australia, which is the second largest city, they weren't able to leave the house for like 3/4 of a year or something like that.
Well, tough. And look, we all now know that Djokovic had to, leave Australia. He wasn't allowed to participate. This is something we've discussed a couple of shows ago, so we know what happened there. So they decided that they want to stick by their rules, and he violated some of them, and that the whole. I don't think anyone came out as a winner there, but they decided to stick to what they have been preaching and asking of their people to do, and I guess they just wanted that to stick and show that it doesn't matter who you are, you would go.
Which is important. I mean,
Do you think that would have happened in US?
I think we would have had the same reaction as
You think?
us. Yeah, I think so because we would have been so outraged. Well, if we were, let's put it this way: if we were having such a strict lockdown here.
Yeah.
Now, because you and I saw Djokovic play in the U.S. Open back in September, and he got in the he got in the country. I didn't hear
Well, at
anything
that
about
point, the rules were not so strict. So basically, you were allowed to come in with that and not being vaccinated. Now
Okay.
the rules are, as of November last year, the rules were that you can't enter US unless you're vaccinated with the vaccines that are, approved or approved by who? Doctor Who, not Doctor Who, sorry. The big, huge World Health Organization.
Dr. Henry, here's a who. Shot.
Going back to that, look, Jacinda, the Prime Minister, I think Jacinda is how I pronounce it, she just cancelled her wedding this summer because of Omicron. And she's saying, or maybe it's not this summer, a little earlier, but she's saying, I'm not going to have this wedding. We have to go back onto some stricter rules. She's leading by example. Yeah. Then you have Boris. Boris
Not exactly
Johnson.
leading by example, but
unless
you're a party boy.
Unless you're a party boy, like your wine out in the garden, And look, he's been saying, come on, people, you have to sit at home. You shouldn't be in gatherings more than 6 people unless it's your family, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And then bang, a little garden party in 10 Downing Street. And then literally 2 weeks, 2 weeks later, goes, I think we can ease up now on all the restrictions.
We need a test run.
Right, so go to Plan B. Where the masks are off. We don't need to do anything. It's not as strict as it was before. Omicron is not at its peak. We're going down it, so it's all fine. That wave is going down, so we should be good to go. And how blatant is that it's so politicized?
Well, that was politicized. Australia was politicized. The U.S. has been politicized because of the school masks. I mean, come on, you got that one.
Oh, that's insane.
And then, of course, you've had these fools that have been, that have been attacking flight attendants or have had to be held on.
Right?
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, but all those bad reactions from these people, there are not wanting to do what the rules are.
Right.
And, it's just, so that's kind of, because that's politicized, because it's all about, if you're a Democrat, you're wearing a mask. If you're a Republican, you're not.
Yeah.
Which is stupid. I mean, why?
Well, and I know some Democrats that they've gone tired of masks.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know some Republicans that are wearing masks. I mean, they almost sleep with it,
I know
So,
some too,
it's very, very internal and very personal. The mask on planes, you're a big plane specialist here. Now, how fucking ridiculous is
I've flown on a plane before.
Right? How ridiculous is it that a whole plane of 300, 200 people had to be turned back and around because it was en route to London? They had to turn around and come back because there was a gentleman who refused to put on a mask.
But here's the thing. He knew before he put his butt on that plane what the rules were. They explained that to him before he got on the plane. They explained it to him when he was on the plane, and then after they get up in the air, then he's going, do you know how much it costs?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It costs the company. It costs people their time.
Yeah, the time.
It costs, airfares. They've had plans.
Yeah.
It costs everything.
What if they missed their cruise? They didn't make their connection to their cruise or something like that.
So because of him, so what happens to him? Does he get arrested? What happens to him then? And will he be responsible to pay for all those
fees?
For fees, the cost of everyone.
I have, in the past, that has been the charge. If a plane had to land because of you had to pay the landing fees, the gate fees, all those, and then take them up, any fuel that they bought, and that was charged to you. Now, there's been so many of these. I've got to tell you, FBI has not been following through on these cases. A lot of people have been arrested, and but not many people have been charged. And my thought is charge the hell out of them, because you're not just putting, okay, look, screw mask, get away from the mask thing. You're putting a plane that's 35,000 feet in the air at risk. You're screwing and putting my family at risk. You know, I guess I got some personal words for you. I mean, so
Well, we touched some
because
nerve there.
it pisses me off. And so I'm like, yeah, charge him double.
Yeah.
But this one right here, this one's expensive.
Yeah,
Really
well, that's
expensive.
the whole, because I think it's everybody on the plane
I'm surprised that-
who's like, I just don't know how they were not able to, or what kind of insanity has he need, or what planet he's on that he can't even do that. Because you ruined your trip too, because you were planning on going to London, obviously,
You ain't going to
since you're
London
on
now.
that plane, but then you're not going there.
No.
And from now on, obviously, that airline would probably blacklist him, so he will never fly that airline. And I don't know if any other airlines will pick somebody else's blacklist and go, oh, well, John Smith was on that. But, excuse my French, but, no.
I mean, that's been one of the problems, because you would think that if somebody's put on a blacklist for an airline, well, if it's bad for
one airline, wouldn't it be bad for all?
They don't share the list, and I don't know if it's because it's illegal or a reason or what, but it's anyway. Kind of getting off the topic, but it's just
COVID.
but it does make us. It's one of those things that just drives you mad.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and then there's a lot of places. Like you go in, and then one because as we've spoke to you before as well, and or you guys must know that obviously in the States you have like state rules and then federal rules, and each state can then do and put up their own protocols,
Sure.
guidelines, and they don't necessarily have to coincide exactly with the federal ones, right?
No.
And that to me, I live in one state, I can cross borders to another to go to the store, to a shop. In my state, it says you absolutely must wear a mask, and the other one, you don't have to, or vice versa. Yeah. For instance, what happened in DC last week, at the beginning of this week, we were told that you cannot go into a public place like restaurants and cafes unless you have a vaccination card. Something that, for instance, New York has done for a very long time, something that Russia has been practicing for a long time, something that France had in place too. And then now, 2 years later, you decide to do that. A bit shocking.
Whenever you go get your shots and vaccinations, take a photo of it on your phone, and that way you have it on your phone.
Yeah, with you all the time. Yeah.
And make a copy, a hard copy or two of it, laminate
or laminate it or something.
I had to
yeah.
laminate mine.
Yeah.
And but keep the original one. I keep that with my passport.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lose it.
Well, it's funny because you won't be able to travel to another country without a passport and your vaccination card. That's kind of what it comes down to. But you know what? There was another big story all this week that the government are thinking about making you wear a specific mask.
Yeah.
And now that to me was, I think, that brought me over the edge in a sense of, come on, guys, this is like a little bit like too much. Yeah. And this is like almost enough. You have to know where to stop. This to me was literally that point. You can't really tell me what mask to wear. The next thing is what color of underwear I should wear on Monday,
What color do you wear on Monday?
What coffee I need to drink, what flavor it needs to be. I mean, seriously.
What goes back to what I've talked about, nanny state stuff.
Yeah.
They just get so up in your business and bureaucratic. And they're trying to make sure, we don't have anybody getting sick. I'm like, you should be damn lucky they're wearing the mask. Shut up. I mean, they're wearing something on their face because they're eventually going to go, well, fuck you.
Well, that will happen. And also, I think the fact that we no longer want to listen to the people at power, the people that are setting up rules that we have to go by, and because they're pushing it to, as you said, how strict can the rules be before they become something that people will not longer tolerate? I think for me that was like, this is enough.
I think one of the things that really hurt them at the beginning and has continued to be a problem is they kept on changing don't wear a mask, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. They changed especially at the very beginning, it was pretty bad. They were going back and forth, but it was with them not being consistent with the rules has made them not respect or listen to the authorities, because they're like, well, screw it, you don't know what you're doing either. And the fact of the matter is, they really didn't, because this was all very brand new and so forth, and they were trying to do the best they could. But I think that has undermined the entire trust.
Yeah, definitely. The trust issue is absolutely there.